15 minutes after the hour, 15 minutes away from opening our grain and livestock trade at midweek. Mark Oppold, thanks for joining us here. RFD-TV or Rural Radio, channel 147 on Sirius XM. Lots of new listeners there putting Sirius XM in their cars or trucks, wherever it might be, and able to take us along with you. Thanks for doing that. All right, we head to our friends at Allendale, just outside of Chicago, and Rich Nelson, our leadoff hitter here again on the day. Rich, happy Wednesday, first of all. We had a crop report here. We've had 24 hours, and other analysts to kind of leaf through a lot of pages. What do you see, anything different or that sticks out 24 hours later, do you want to share with viewers and listeners?
You know, I'd say at least on the bright spot of the whole issue, we did, of course, recognize some needed changes on the U.S. balance sheets, which didn't really get the trade's attention too much. But we did see USDA recognize the South American situation. Yeah. I think that's the biggest, and what I'm going to suggest is actually a net positive to us in the long term, is we're finally getting the negative news out here all complete. So this is finally good news on this side.
Yeah, and some analysts were reading and following here this morning, getting ready for the day, talking about how the trade really performed pretty well in the face of the negative numbers, but a lot of that was hopefully known and not a lot of surprises. But once you see it, you have to react to it, as I guess, for a little while.
Hey, that's probably the biggest thing. In fact, in the morning we actually were sitting at some new lows in terms of pricing for the downtrend for soybeans, and that's exactly right. The close by the day wasn't that bad, considering the fact that we raised those crop totals pretty well. So, good news there. I think on this side, of course, it doesn't stop the downtrend in these markets. Certainly not for soybeans. But it does get us set up maybe for some potential moderate rebounds here in the spring, given some weather situations.
Yeah, we talk about, Dan, we'll watch beans here in about 15 minutes as they open up. They'd already bounced higher overnight, but they did trade down to their lowest level since early August of last fall, right after that report came out. But now, as again, overnight, 5 to 6 cents higher at the end of the trade.
That sure is right. And given the current forecast, I would suspect that we probably will see this corn market at least have a little further upside these coming weeks. As a reminder, December corn is only 14 cents off those highs posted just back in February. So. On that side, you can make some good arguments for a moderate rebound, maybe on corn. Let's at least try and get some stabilization on soybeans, which may be starting now. So that could be a positive as well here.
I would think September and December corn are going to react a little bit more, be more sensitive to these weather forecasts. If it stays rainy, they're talking about some rain every week here, right in through the first week of May. You know, not a lot, but a little bit of rain every week, but that just delays things into the 1st of May.
That sure is right. And we know from experience that oftentimes these days, in this past 10, 15 years or so, that we don't see major changes in acreage, but we still see the market react to these type of main problems while they are happening here. And
then the wheat trade. Don't want to forget about our folks in the wheat market there. Understand that the daily volume yesterday was nearly double what they normally get. Is that what, am I right in reading that?
That's exactly right. In terms of the main focus, in fact, I'd also like to bring the spring wheat guys up to front and center right now. This idea that we are seeing some lower than normal planting progress right now, and this is not even including the getting into North Dakota yet, because they actually won't seasonally get going until the next 1 to 2 weeks ahead. So that's good news there. And as far as the spring wheat situation, we're going to see a good drop. The question is what type of drop we're going to see for acreage as well.
Rich Nelson joining us from our friends at Allendale, McHenry, Illinois. We'll take a break, come back, and we'll open this livestock trade here in about 10 minutes. We'll get Rich's thoughts there. Beef and pork trade coming up. We continue Market Day Report on a Wednesday. And we look at that livestock trade opening here in about 10 minutes, and getting us started on this Wednesday of Holy Week is Rich Nelson from Allendale. Rich, looking at the beef trade here, wow, this talk of U.S.-Chinese business reopening here certainly made a difference yesterday.
No doubt. So we did see some midday beef a little higher here yesterday, and also part of this good excitement we saw is directly related to packers cutting those kills so aggressively last week. Now, the first phase of their little secret hopes is, yes, let's get this lower beef production, higher beef prices. Now today, we maybe get some ideas as far as the second half of their hopes, whether they're completely wrong or right on their cash cattle guess and their cash cattle hopes. Today's Fed Cattle Exchange opens up at 10 o'clock. There are 5,245 head, so 5,245 head lined up for the FCE today. So this is going to be something which the bulls are running this show right now. Let's see if they can continue also into the cash cattle realm later on today.
We understand that packers have a lot of cattle, contract cattle on hand that they can draw from, and they aren't going to be very aggressive, we are reading.
That's exactly right. And this is going to be something which is, I love these and I hate these type of markets because everybody's got something that they can pick and choose to draw from, both bulls and bears. And right now, bulls are in control, but let's see if this lasts through the cash cattle trade of this week as well.
We'll take a look at that beef cutout here in a minute, but I want to get your thoughts here before we let you go on the pork side of things here. Many say that even though the market looks oversold, this lean hog complex, the upside looks limited.
I think for the short term it does, mainly because this year's second quarter supply is so well stocked, 5 to 6% over last year's numbers. That's certainly an adequate point. However, this is a seasonal time of year for an inflection point in these markets. So we're going to break this cash into maybe Monday, Tuesday next week. Futures, though, maybe they're trying to price in this potential low here for the spring seasonal.
Many wonder, in reading here and looking at any kind of a strategy, that June above 74 looks like it might be a sell for a lot of traders in there, technical traders.
I think on the chart-wise, it's probably a good point here. On the fundamental basis, I'm actually suggesting that maybe we're a little underpriced on these summer contracts. We're equal right now with last year's pricing. However, these summer futures are implying right now a $7 to $8 discount versus last year's pricing. So let's see if these charts can correct maybe in these next few days or not. So certainly an important time for year for us on hogs.
Very good. And Rich, thanks for the time, as always, leading things off on a daily basis here, Market Day Report. Certainly appreciate the input. Hope you have a profitable day.
Great. Thanks. You too.
Thank you. Rich Nelson from Allendale joining us every morning at this time, actually, here to get things started on a daily basis. Let's go back and we mentioned those the beef cutouts here as we started the day, and he mentioned a big jump here in that beef cutout, over $1 advance. In fact, nearly a $2 advance here in our beef cutout here to a 209.37, and we saw a $3 advance in the select cuts. So closing that gap from the choice to the select cuts, still down from 211 here just last week, by the way, on that choice cutout. Then we take a look at the pork side of things, pork cutout, arrows there mostly higher here on the day. We did see a big pullback, by the way. Should be a lower, I think that belly trade arrow should be a bit lower there, over $11, almost $12 down. We'll check on that here. We get started in about 5-6 minutes.
All right, thank you very much, Mark. Appreciate that.